TUM Talk Tuesday. Don't worry, I'm not going to be doing the live while driving. I'm going to pull over. Just had to drop off the kiddos. Man, we got a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack after an amazing trip to Chicago. That was such a good time. It was amazing to see some familiar faces and people that we met through Instagram that are now friends of ours. It's pretty awesome to be able to see that. I got to meet in person a good friend of mine from Cards. We met 4 years ago. We were both Kobe collectors, and all those Kobe sweaters that I wear, he actually personally paints those and designs those, and it was pretty cool to be able to see him in person and meet him at National. So that's what it's all about, man. National was so cool to be able to all right, here we go. Let's get Alex on here. Twins, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for booking. All right, Graders at what's good? Graders at what's it called, at Del Mar. We can't really announce anything yet. We are working on some of the bigger names. We should be finalizing that in the next few days here. So stay tuned. Get your notifications on, and we'll be announcing those here real fast. So yeah, Alex, man, how you feeling? Did you get to
I'm
rep
feeling
yesterday?
great.
You got right back into it yesterday. I saw Slack going
Yeah,
off.
right
Gary
back to
Bear's
it,
in
man.
the house. What's good, guys?
What's up? Yeah, no, it was right back to it. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah.
Earbuds are kind of, I put them through the washer, so
Oh,
yeah, it
nice.
was like
Sounds
my
about right.
fourth pair. But no, yeah, it was right back to work. Man, I was like a kid in a candy store at the National, but it was, as you know, you were with me, it was like so much going on. I think I could only handle that like once a year, probably.
Well, good thing it only happens once a year, right?
All
So,
right.
Bullet, appreciate you, man. Thanks for booking those tables. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I could handle that multiple times a year. I know.
I know
I
you
think it
could.
was mostly. I know it was mostly the travel that was exhausting for us. Because I
Yeah, I
mean,
think that's,
we got lucky though. I think you and I got very lucky because everyone else that left on Tuesday or Wednesday had some sort of insane delay.
yeah.
You guys met. You and I. We it was smooth sailing. 4.5 hours.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
wasn't bad. It
and that
wasn't bad at all.
it was a blessing in disguise that we went late because you got a nice aisle seat and we were right up front. So
Yeah,
step away
yeah. No,
from the class.
it was really special, man. It was cool. It was so much different than last year's national. I think for us, I think for you and I, a year, a lot of things can change in a year. I mean, 2 years ago, we were barely getting into this thing. So to see a lot of these people and how far they've come
Yeah.
was the coolest part for me. Having those personal conversations and being like, dang, like this dude really came up, or this woman's really taken to the top, and has the spotlight on them. And for me, I'm always really happy to see people level up and kind of get to where they're going, and know that you had a little piece of the part in that whole thing. So that was really cool for me.
Big baller. Appreciate that, man. We do work hard, but I know there's a lot of people out there right now that work just as hard, if not harder than us. So we would do the hobby a disservice if we didn't put our best foot forward. So that's what we're about.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, dude, how amazing is it that we go check into our hotel, and then the first thing we do is go to a trade night, and we get to interview Gary Vaynerchuk for like 15 minutes, dude, straight of just talking
yeah.
cards, talking business, and like a
I
lot of
know,
the stuff
man. It
wasn't
was
even.
crazy.
It was so insane. Like,
It
yeah,
was.
and you're like, hey, look, it's Gary V. Oh, so all right, cool. And then, dude, went
What's
right into
crazy?
it.
What's crazy about that too is like the conversation that we had before that we even started filming, and I almost didn't even say anything. I was almost just like, let's just keep this like an organic interaction and not have
Big
to
stuff.
press play because the
Yeah,
conversation was going so well, and then you don't want when you're getting that information and you're having that connection with someone, you don't want to like stop it,
yeah,
especially since who knows if we'll ever see or speak to him again.
probably
But it
not.
was
So, yeah,
yeah, probably
probably not.
probably not, but it was really cool. I know you had a cool conversation with him too, and then I was thinking like, damn, this is the guy who says record everything. Like, hell no, why do we record? Let's start recording. or
I
he'd be
know.
pissed. You know
And
what I'm saying?
he was
So
actually really cool about that. And that was the best part. He is as advertised. Like that's exactly what I
so
said to everyone that saw our picture and DM'd me directly. Like, man, that's cool. I'm like, dude, he is as advertised. And it's really cool to be able to see like he is very genuine. And I think a lot of these people do like online, they get kind of misunderstood. Uh, and he's one of those guys that's just like a big talker, but he backs it up, man. So
he does.
it was awesome.
The tone
Great
didn't
advice.
change. The tone didn't change at all from
Bro,
us having that conversation to when the camera came on,
yeah.
and I feel like that's how he operates 100% of the time. So for
Well,
for me, I was like, dang, this dude's on a whole nother level. So
well, the best part about it is that it aligns so much from what we're trying to do with the hobby. I mean, there was a lot of times that you got him to nod and say, "Yeah, like totally, that's exactly what that aligns with what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to do with V Friends." And for us, we're just trying to continue to build value into this community, into this hobby. Bringing something new, I think, is what we're good at, and that's what Gary V pretty much agrees with. So,
yeah,
I'm sure that would be like a whole nother podcast with me and you just
yeah,
talking about that 15-minute experience.
yeah, for
Today,
sure.
really, talk about the recap. I mean, we got to really shake hands with some of the important people in the industry and the hobby. That was definitely a blessing right there, and hopefully we can continue to have those handshakes.
Yeah,
How many meetings have you already set up this week? It's like
man.
been crazy.
I think I've already had to set up. I don't even. I have to go. I was going through the business cards yesterday, and then I was going through my photos because I take pictures of the business cards, and then I was going through my emails. So, but then I was getting right back into our show and all the work that we have to do before October. So balancing that out was cool. It can be challenging, but it is cool to see that people are recognizing what we do, and
Yeah.
that was for me like that was probably the coolest part is like people who I wouldn't even thought like
Bro, there are
paid
people
attention
asking you
to
to do
recognize.
interviews with you. Like, hey, Alex, can I do an interview with
No,
you?
not that part.
Yeah,
Not
you're
that
an
part's cool. I mean, I like
influencer,
that.
bro. This
No,
guy's
I
famous.
like. I mean, that part's cool and stuff, but it was the people who were really recognizing what we were doing, and you can tell they really recognize what we're doing because they're very specific on the things they were saying. That you couldn't just be a scroller and have the awareness of what we were trying to do. You really had to follow the journey, and it just goes to show that people recognize hard work. It is always hard work always wins all the time, and even
It's like
when you don't.
it's not just the hard work. It's really just the consistency of the hard work. Because
Hmm.
we could say we work hard, but then just not consistently. That doesn't count. That still kind of gets you back to step one. And I think that's one thing that you and I have been like that's changed after Delmar 3 is once we saw Pachanga, we're like, this needs to be a 365-day business. It can't be a show to show business. Like that is the mind. I don't want everyone to know that. That is the mind frame of Alex and I, and the entire team is completely flipped upside down. Is that we used to see these shows as, oh, we got a month, we got 2 months, we got 3 months or whatever. And then we'll advertise it as that. But we have a brand that we want to make sure that it's alive for our kids to even see. And the only way to do that is to build normalcy. And that normalcy for us is just relentless pressure and letting everyone know as often as we can what we're doing and inviting as many people as we can on a daily basis so that way this thing just continues to grow. The only thing that I do think that we are missing on, and also even National is missing on, and a lot of the other, I think all shows right now are really missing on, and it's just the education. Um, there's a lot of people that were still there that didn't even know how to put a card in a penny sleeve. Like these are the basic things that I think our hobby needs to be educated on. If we're, especially for you and I, because we're so adamant about growing the hobby through invitation and through the youth, there's no educational piece of teaching people the basics of why does it make sense to put this thing in a penny sleeve and why is there an intrinsic value to the specific card. So I think that when someone does that well, you know what I'm saying? When someone does that
Hmm.
well, now everyone understands what the hobby is about, what
Hmm.
collecting is about. Bro, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
Like Fanatics is smart to be able to get into this because no one's educating anyone. So
yeah, I agree. I think it's important, for you and I even to constantly remind ourselves to take ourselves out of our shoes and go back to square one.
Yeah.
You know, constantly. And with the shows, even with the concepts that we're coming up with, it's like we literally have to take ourselves out, like of what we're vested in and day out. And I know you always reference like, okay, my mom comes and my family comes, like,
Yeah.
what are they going to be doing? And
Yeah.
it said they do get into the actual card aspect of the event. What are the important like topics that they need to know? And how do we do that in a way where it's fun and interactive and you come to the show and have it be an experience too? And I think we're trying to find that out. I think everybody's trying to find that out. And my hope is that we can nail down that process
Yeah.
and really, really, really have that separate us from really everywhere else. And I hope everywhere else does it too, to be
Big
honest.
baller. We definitely got it. I mean, a workshop at a future show. Yes, it's definitely. We want to do all these things, guys. Like, trust me. I think that is the biggest thing that you and I have never really talked about. We've always talked about our show, and we need to start educating. I think we post 8 to 10 times every single day. EJ, I know you and I, like, we can all make this work where we have a segment every single day that's just teaching the basics of collecting. And I don't know, maybe it's a video of you putting a penny sleeve with your sausage fingers and like, look, even I can do it. But like that's a funny thing that you said, and that's actually what we always talked about. We actually got to talk to Rob about that. You and I, we always talk about how do we make sure that the moms don't feel like this is just a chore for their kid, like a chore for them. Like maybe one day we are gonna have a mani pedi spa like at our one of our shows, so that way the moms can have a good time and be excited for the next Union Marketplace, right? So I don't know. I That's not outlandish. When you say Union Marketplace, I want people to start thinking, you know what? That is right in their ballpark. A freaking spa, a salon, right there inside of the card show. So that way the
I'm
moms
I'm
can have a
pretty
good
sure no one would be surprised at anything that we
time.
do at this point.
That is true. That is true.
But how
I know.
about you? So Wiley, there's a couple times I saw you kind of like just in the zone and deep in thought at the national. Um, what was your biggest takeaway from it? Well, A, what was the number one thing that you think you learned? And B, like, what was your overall experience for everyone who couldn't be there?
So, it's exciting because like last year was my first national, and I thought that was insane. For this one to have 20 to 25% more in attendance, meanwhile, everyone's saying that this thing is dead. It just goes to show that no one knows what they're talking about. So that was exciting for me because maybe I opened my ears to the wrong views at sometimes. So that just reminded me to kind of keep my head down and continue to keep growing the thing because it's not going anywhere. So that was one thing. It was just the overwhelming feeling that we're just scratching the surface. Um, is probably the biggest thing that I learned from this. Seeing, we live in San Diego, so when you compare this thing to Comic Con, for example, and does it have that same potential? I 100% believe it does. And fact for that is Comic Con, for example, has their superheroes, has these fictional characters that go on panels that speak that are the biggest thing about Comic Con is the actors being within the crowd. Like I remember there was a couple years where Will Ferrell was his whole thing was he didn't do a panel, he just walked around the crowd. That was what made Comic Con so cool. And for sports, right now we don't have that. We like athletes are just behind a table and they're signing autographs the entire time. I want Union Marketplace to be one of the first ones that athletes are walking around freely having a good time. They're the superheroes of this entire community and hobby, and they're having a great time. And this show was one of the first shows that I got to actually see that happen. Um, Dude, we got to speak to Joe Staley for like how long, and he was just one of us, dude. How cool was that,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
We saw Jalen Rose walking around. We saw Gary V again, dude. How many times did we run into Rube? right? Like how many times do we get to just walk around and see
Yeah.
these superheroes? And I think this is the first show I've ever been to that the superheroes were walking around amongst, you know, regular what's it called? Mortals like us, right? So
Hmm.
I thought that was awesome, but I want to bring Union Marketplace to that stage as well too, where these guys can feel comfortable walking around, embrace the hobby, embrace what makes them big as well too. I don't know if that's something that I learned, but that's something I want to apply.
Yeah,
And
of
I don't know
course. And
what we have to do, but I would love that. You know, have 100 different athletes and 100 different sports superheroes enjoying themselves at the shows.
yeah, and cards don't. And another thing, that's the beauty of it too, is cards don't just stop at athletes. You have
No, it
all the
doesn't.
you have all the superheroes. You have the Mickeys. You have it literally it's everything. I think there's no boundaries to it. One thing for me, I had a couple conversations with some, you know, high level execs at the show, and
Yeah, I
for
wasn't
us
invited.
being
The heck?
like business people,
Yeah.
like those are people like I'd want to collect their card. You know, seeing
Yeah.
what they've been able to
True.
accomplish and attain in their life, and knowing the struggles that it takes, it's like that that's a whole nother that's a card I'd really want to collect. And
True.
for me, it was like meeting a superhero. So the hobby doesn't. There's no boundaries to it, and that's another thing that really opened my eyes and that I love about it. And I think if you can really figure out how to encapsulate that and bring it to a show, there's something for everybody at some point.
Dude, the craziest part about it with me, and like you were saying, we spoke to a lot of execs, and we're thinking that you and I are having these issues. I actually that video that was posted this morning about, you know, that small reel of our YouTube clip
Mm.
that
Hmm.
said, "Hey, was this all worth the effort?" And you're like, "Financially, no, it's not. Is it for the brand? I know what we have to do." And it was wild because that was like, and I want everyone that's watching this to know that that was not scripted. That was true emotion coming from Alex and I. And that's actually a very similar emotion with a lot of people trying to do what we're doing and elevate and innovate the industry. So it was kind of nice to not feel like we were the only one struggling, selfishly, because it was like, oh man, I guess that everyone's going through it. So it put me a little bit at ease. Uh, so that was, it shows that there's a lot of passion behind this thing, this community, and a lot of innovation that's happening at the moment. And I feel that everyone really needs to start at least opening up to it, because it's where this thing needs to go. If you truly want this community and hobby to grow, it has to go through innovation, and it can't be through the same boys club. It has to be through invitation and bringing new people in with fresh ideas,
Mm.
just like us having a sports card show and then all of a sudden having a lightsaber fight in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm excited. I don't
but
know. I'm
yeah, I
all
mean, yeah,
excited. I'm not even know if
it
I'm
was
making
crazy.
any
It was
sense.
crazy though. It was definitely like you said, an indicator. This thing is not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, and I said this a lot over the weekend. I think we're still early to what it's going to become. And I think all these people, and I think at the airport we sat down and had a conversation with some of our friends, and I think a lot of these pioneers, so to speak, that are new into, especially in the influence games, these guys are going to have millions of followers.
Yeah,
EJ and Dynasty Mode made a great point. It's like
yeah,
we're going to watch this thing. I think it said 10x, and I was thinking like, I think so too, dude. And if
so
that's
true.
the case, the landscape's just it's gonna look completely different.
I
There's so
know.
many more people,
Yeah,
and we're really gonna feel like, damn, we were there in the beginning of that whole thing, but really it's been going on for
for
years and
40
years
years.
and years.
Yeah, I know. It's just like the trajectory right now, if anything, has actually just been multiplied even more. So yeah, it's not slowing down. Obviously, and I hate it that we what's it called? I don't like the whole money game behind national. Like a lot of the posts are, oh, I bought this and then I made this. Like that's cool and all, but that's like for the experts. That's like eventually, I'm hoping that that's only maybe 10 to 15% of the people that are actually in this community, right? And then 85 to 80% of everyone else is actually in it just because of the love of and the knowledge that they get to teach through cards and collecting. I know I use this as a tool for communicating with my kids. I know you do the same thing
Mm,
too. Um, One perfect example of that was, Joe Staley. He gave a kid a card, and then he was teaching him how to negotiate. And that's the stuff that we should talk about is like the education behind it. Not necessarily that I made $50,000 or $30,000 off of a sale.
yeah.
Um, Again, but you and I think I don't even think we're ambassadors yet
Mm,
because we're
no.
still small. And that was one thing that I did realize that we're extremely small fish to
Mm-hmm.
this insane ocean, um, and that's continuing to grow. So, but let's just start there.
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
start.
I
I want to start
definitely.
doing like videos, even if it's just goofy little videos on how to put
Mm,
penny sleeves together, dude.
yeah.
Should do it.
I think that there's so much like we hear the word content within internally, and I think there's just so much to cover in those videos that you talk about. I made 50,000. You know what? That's if you can encapsulate that in some content and really show us how you did that. I think there's a lot of value to
Ooh,
that. I do, and I think
maybe I
I know,
should do that.
yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah,
mind. What if
yeah.
I just film my like every day I'm gonna do something card sales related? I'll just film it. EJ, can we make that happen? I'll send you the content and let's make it happen. All right. Well, we didn't even talk about our own show. Quickly, we got Wild Barrel, local show. Guys, we're committed to growing the local scene. We want to create a comfortable hub for everyone. So that way they don't have to travel so far just to go to a card show. We want to bring one to every single city. And it's not going to be a massive show every single time. It's going to have anywhere from 10 to 15 to 20 tables, just depending on the facility we have. Wild Barrel is just a fun environment for you to get around with people that are like-minded that want to learn more about the hobby. Wild Barrel next Saturday. I'm excited for that one. I think we're halfway full with tables. Um, I mean, Manny has probably put out at least 3,000 flyers already for Wild Barrel. So even if we can get 10% of those people to show, we're going to have an extremely successful event. And then we're also, what's it called? Obviously, we got our big show, Del Mar 6, 7, and 8, October. Extremely excited for that one. I already got one of my costumes. Alex, I bought you a costume. I'll show it to you one day. You might just have to pop up on TUM Talk Tuesday on with it.
I'll
Yeah,
do
let's
it.
do
What
that.
is it? What is it? What is it? What is
Whatever,
it?
dude. Just don't worry about it. Let's just keep going with the flow. So yeah, this Del Mar, October 6, 7, and 8. It's going to be amazing. There's going to be something for everyone because that's what we want to provide for the shows is that it's just going to be full of entertainment, full of fun, and there'll be a lot of collecting as well too. Cool.
Excited. A lot of work to do, but we're gonna get it done, and we're excited to come back to Del Mar and keep this same momentum that we have from Pachanga 3 into Del Mar 4, dude. So
Bro,
I love it.
that that momentum stays with us now.
Yeah.
365 days a year.
What are you doing
Okay?
tomorrow, dude?
I can't tell you. I can't tell you.
No?
We got film crew though. That's cool.
Can I come?
You better come. You have to be there.
Where do I go? Where is it that I'm going?
I can't tell. Yeah, why are you asking me live right now?
Wondering.
We'll talk soon. It's gonna be
All
fun
right,
though.
guys.
So,
Appreciate
so
you guys.
tomorrow I have a walkthrough at Del Mar at 9 a.m.
Oh,
Walking a potential sponsor, maybe partner that's gonna help in the game, bring a new flavor to the union marketplace. So we're gonna see if we can bridge that relationship. We have our meeting, and then we have a nice little site visit at 11:30 tomorrow. How
exciting. That's exciting.
I know. So, and we're gonna have a nice camera there because EJ said he's gonna be. So it's not just gonna be me and you with shaky hands. It'll be cool. It'll be
Cool.
fun. And then the rest of the day is just sponsorship talk. So let's keep going.
Go.
All right, brother. I'll talk
All
to you
right,
soon. I'm on my way to Temecula right now. Meeting with Sanctum. So
oh,
going
nice.
So we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
All right, bro.
Cool.
I'll see you.
See ya.
Peace, everybody.